With that, I think we are set to begin. So I'll do the countdown, 5 to 0, and His Excellency will make his opening remarks. Thereafter, the panelists will start firing the questions. So let's be quiet now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you, Biavi. Your Excellency, the resourceful and ever-supportive Deputy Governor of Ade State, Senator Lawrence Erujakpo, the chairman of our party, Solomon Agwanana, and other top government functionaries here present. Let me acknowledge the presence of very senior media officials in today's chat. Ladies and gentlemen, first I want to welcome you to Creek Haven, your own seat of power, government house here in Yenagoa, and the opportunity for me to actually interact with you about particularly current happenings in our state and in the country in general. Let me appreciate you first for all that you have done throughout these End Bad Government protests. You have been very proactive. Your reportage was very factual about what was happening in Bayelsa. And as a government, on behalf of our prosperity government, we say thank you. Having said that, let me also appreciate the good people of Bayelsa State. Well, my deputy governor will always say the good and the bad people. So whether we like it or not, we have the bad people with us. So let me appreciate the good and the bad people of Bayelsa. But they are very few. The bad people are very few. We have more of good people because the Jaws are generally very good people and very hospitable people. For the support that they have given to this government from day one has been a government of dialogue and interaction. And we have never encouraged violence as a government. Sometimes the body movements of the head will suggest certain things. But our body language and everything about us is peace, unity. And Bayelsans have keyed into it. Of course, the Ijaw people are peaceful, not just keying into it. That was what they were before some few bad people started changing the story about Bayelsa State, where Bayelsa youths were slaughtered on the streets of Yenagoa, where people were chased out from their own communities because of elections. Elections were not meant to divide us. Elections were meant to select good quality leadership for our state. And today, because Bayelsans elected the kind of leaders that they wanted, Bayelsa is living in peace. Bayelsans can sleep with their two eyes closed. And the whole state came to a conclusion, both the youths and the elders, that we don't need to protest. We are rather prepared for dialogue. And so I want to thank you all, the people of Bayelsa, the elders, our mothers, our fathers, our religious leaders, and for this End Bad Government protest, the very productive youths of Bayelsa State. Thank you all for listening to wisdom, for listening to good advice that we need not to destroy the little infrastructure, be it federal or state, that is in our state. And we conducted ourselves peacefully. Day 1, day 2, today is day 3, and there is no protest in Bayelsa State. Please let us clap for us. And let's continue to keep this peace, and it's only in an atmosphere of peace that development can take place, that oneness and unity can take place. So I want to appreciate you on behalf of the government and thank you and keep the peace. It is not because of the security agents alone. It is not because of the governor or the deputy governor or commissioners. It's because we all have keyed in and have agreed that Bayelsa will be peaceful and Bayelsa will develop in our time. Thank you, and God bless us all. Now, having said that, I'm prepared for the kill by my brothers and friends. Thank you. Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, so good afternoon, Your Excellency. You said you're ready for the kill. Are you sure?
So you truly want to kill me?
We would try to x-ray your plans for Bayelsa, but not necessarily kill. This is the agenda for the first term. That would be the same agenda for the second term. So 6 months on the saddle. What's the plan? What's the agenda for this second term? And while you tell us that, please, I'd also like you to inform us how far you've gone.
Well, thank you, my sister. You had already said part of it. This is a continuation government. It's not another government coming in to set a new agenda. It is the same agenda and maybe with some additions. So our agenda, as you know, number one is peace, peace, peace. There is too much, and there was too much of hatred in the polity and the politics of Bayelsa State. And you and I know that before we took over. And we set out, first of all, to unite the political group and generally to unite our people. Today, that Bayelsans, even the political, particularly between the two major parties, they cannot even drink. I am sure you will tell me better that the two major parties can drink together, they can eat together, council. And I'm sure that will speak volumes of our achievement in terms of peace and unity in the state. Now, the other thing that I can talk about is infrastructure. You know, our infrastructure we received from former Governor Dixon and what we are also putting on ground. The infrastructure is still far, far, far away from us. We have also done so well. The Nembe branch economically unviable by a former governor of Bayelsa, who is also from Brass local government area. And when he attempted that road, rather than starting from Nembe, he went and started from his village, Okpoma, and nothing was even started. But the records are there. Billions of naira went down the drain at that time. But today, I'm sure that you know what is happening in that road. We awarded that contract, bold enough and courageous enough, knowing the billions that it will swallow. In some balances, they say, why are you doing it? These people didn't even vote for you in 2019. But I see the whole of Bayelsa as my constituency. The moment I become governor, I'm no longer governor of PDP. I am governor of the whole 3 senatorial districts of Bayelsa State. And so, I won't talk about it because you already know what we are doing there, the monies that we have sunk in there. The same thing with the senatorial road from Yenagoa to Oporoma. We inherited it from where former Governor Dixon stopped. And throughout his predecessor's time, nothing was done about that road. Dixon pushed it to, what's the name of this village? Diri. And we took it over from there, built the first bridge there at Agobri, and took it down to Angama, which is a community of one of our sages who in the then eastern Nigeria wanted that road to be constructed, whilst Bayelsa was still part of eastern Nigeria. Blessed memories, his name is Chief Frank Opigo. And today, we have taken the road to Chief Frank Opigo's community, Angama. And whilst under Dixon's era, they were going through Anyama Ijo. In my era now, they are going through Angama. Those from southern Niger know. But we are now also constructing the main bridge, which is the major bridge crossing and traversing the River Non. And that bridge will now take you to the headquarters of Southern Niger local government area, which is in oil and gas, which has fed this country, but have no access road to their local government headquarters. And I assure you that that bridge will be completed at record time, hopefully within this my administration in second tenure. We are looking at next year, but there are a lot of factors. Inflation has crept in, so many things have crept in, so changes may occur. But that bridge will be completed during this our second tenure, and we will all drive. The company has already started clearing the road and sand filling from the bridge to the community, to the local government headquarters, Oporoma, and they are doing the same to Otuan. So that's about the central. Of course, in Yenagoa, you are all seeing it. It was a one road city. And I don't think anybody will call Yenagoa a one road city again, because you know that the Glory Drive is half completed now. Dual carriageway, electrified by this administration. And the administration under Silva took 9 billion naira of that road, and nothing was done. The records are there in the Ministry of Works. Deputy Governor, you are a commissioner. I think that was the record. Yeah, you are the commissioner for works. And I'm speaking to records. Is there anything I say, I don't just say it? 9 billion naira was taken by that administration. No work done. And when we came in, rather than going frivolous legal tussles, we had to tell the constructor, hands off. Already they were in court. Hands off. Don't worry, this job is complete the Nembe Unity Bridge. And he agreed with us, and we dialogued. This government is dialogue. It would have been our place. 9 billion is already lost. So it would have been our place to continue with that court matter and recover the 9 billion naira. But we will be doing that until this administration will go. That road will not be constructed. Today, that road is constructed. We are all using it. A dual carriageway. And we are now taking the second phase to Ingbi Road, where a bridge again will be constructed, joining the new Yenagoa city. And of course, you know about the AIT Elebele Road. And so much is going on in terms of infrastructure. You are aware of the Sagbama Ekeremo Road, which was started by my predecessor, and we have come to complete it. And now it is tagged. You can now drive to Ikirimo local government headquarters, which hitherto you cannot access by road. And those in Delta State are people who used to go to Delta State and cross back to Bayelsa. But today we have changed the story. Those from Delta State now come to Ikirimo and cross to their own communities in Delta State. And so I believe that even infrastructure-wise, we have done so well. Is it in sports? Is it in sports? You know what we have done in sports. I'll take the whole day trying to tell you what we have done in sports. You have been in this state, so you know Bayelsa is now synonymous with sports. Any activity the federal want to do, they will say bring it to Bayelsa. And it's because of that I have also seen that the stadium we have is inadequate. And by this year, we are going to award that contract to build a 30,000-seater modern capacity stadium in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. And so we have done very well in terms of sports, in terms of education, science and technical colleges, new ones built, equipped, furnished, and we are making them free in terms of tuition, in terms of feeding, they will be free. And so we are spending Bayelsa government money into infrastructure, into empowerment of our people, and that will continue in our second tenure. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I was fast to paper that probably in our anticipation to go for the kill, I forgot to announce the media station I represent. So Dr. Dobra Timewood, I'm head of South Channels TV. My colleague will take the next question.
Yeah, His Excellency, good afternoon once again, and pleased to be here myself as the newest staff of NTA Yenagoa. My name is Joseph Orok, and I'm the manager news of the establishment.
And you are very close to our own radio station,
Yeah.
Glory Land. Did you see your building and our own now? That's part of the handwork of this government.
We are looking up to that, sir.
And even the equipment. Have you gone in there?
Yeah, Excellency.
State of the art.
Yes, Excellency.
Thank you.
We also know you will do better in NTA, sir. Well, sir, it's quite interesting for me, you know, how things that happen to be relatively new in Bayelsa, but I can tell you that even while I was away in my own area, Abuja, for instance, I've worked for about 10 and a half years or so before I was moved. I've had a lot about Bayelsa. And to be very frank with all of us here, the story of Bayelsa, like you try to correct, Bayelsans are not militants, very intelligent people, and that's true. The peace we are talking about, you don't need to talk about it. You don't need to talk about it for us. We are seeing it. I was here, for instance, before the election, and we conducted the election, and it was just like different thing from what some of us used to hear far away about Bayelsa. So that's given to you, sir. So, but since you say we have or you are in the hot seat, so I will release the question so that whether you'll be able to answer. And I would like to simply just want to know the magic or the strategy you had adopted. The strategy you had adopted to manage the NSAS and bad government national, because it's national in Bayelsa, because we had also set our cameras everywhere to see how the protests will be in Bayelsa, but so maybe you tell us more about it in terms of the strategy which you are adopted, and maybe give us the answers last time again in reports that was supposed to be given out from point of view of the reports of the answers.
Okay, thank you, my brother from NTA Yenagoa. First, it is no rocket science, and we are not going to claim the whole credit as a government, as a governor, or as a deputy governor, or as a party chairman. I think that the credit actually goes to the people of Bayelsa State. For us who are at the hot seats, was that from day one, we told ourselves that we have to give good governance. And good governance means that we have to be transparent in our dealings with the people. And so there was transparency, there was goodwill, and of course, approach of budgeting, of bottom top, so that we know the things that the people actually need. And now that you have come, you can see that most of the things that we have done as a government, as a prosperity government, are the things that the people need. And so for us, the first thing was giving good governance and also having a listening ear to the people. We cannot be too far away from the people. For instance, I mentioned it here, I was to travel for very important state duty that would have brought one advantage or the other to our state. But in terms of priority, I discovered that the peace and security is number one than any other thing, which is the first reason why we are elected as a government. So I had to stay back. Engage them. There was a proactive engagement before 1st of August. It didn't just happen. We engaged the youths, we engaged the religious leaders, we engaged the traditional rulers, and those engagements were very fruitful. Out of those engagements, we dialogued, and everybody came to that inescapable conclusion that because one, it was going to be hijacked. The genuine protesters, bad governance protest. There is no way these ones would have been able to other hoodlums who will join them to protest, to loot, and all of that. And the only group that attempted to come out was this group that you saw here today. And you are now sure that with them having keyed in, the issue of protest in Bayelsa is dead. If the students are not protesting, the Joy Youths are not protesting, this End Bad Governance group in Bayelsa, they are not protesting, then that is the end of it. I was not wrong, and I minced no words to have accused my opponent in 2023 election as the one behind beating the drums for this protest. We have social media conversations of his own people. And most of you know Dr. John Idumangi. Idumangi was instigating the protest. And Idumangi was the social media director general. The other boy I called was also working with him at 2. And today I can tell you I even have some conversations, security conversations, of his Dennis Ototio, who was his chairman, saying that they, as APC people, are ready to protest against Tinubu. And so, if you were on my seat, won't you go to the conclusion that he was the one behind it? I have several facts before I added them up and concluded that Timi Silva was the one for this protest. Not for bad governance, not for hunger, not for what the Nigerians are feeling, but for his own personal ways of coming into power through the back door. Then he will deceive the federal government by the statements that he issued, to say I'm not doing anything. The governor is the one who is trying to blackmail me. And a man who has occupied the seat of a governor, calling a city governor a madman, vindicates me and all that I have said about him. So, my dear brother, those were some of the few things we put in place. And then we also got the security in Bayelsa, the formal security in Bayelsa. The Nigerian police, the armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, the civil defense. You are aware that I held a Security Council meeting on Wednesday because of this End Bad Governance protest and mapped out strategies to see how we can stop it. So the security themselves were also engaging the people the same way the government was engaging. And the result was that Bayelsa was peaceful. There was no protest in Bayelsa, and we are continuing to enjoy the peace that we have in Bayelsa. So like I said, there was no rocket science. If you ask me, these are the simple things we did with the understanding of the people of Bayelsa, who are not interested in just protesting, but they are interested in dialogue. This is a time for dialogue. So we are ready to dialogue. Yes, there is hunger in the land. Nobody can say otherwise. Yes, there is hardship in the land, but how do we overcome it? Is it through protest? Can protest drop any food on the table of anybody? Well, there are some of them who will gain from it, the professional protesters, but not the people of Nigeria, not the people of Bayelsa. Thank you.
Your Excellency, good afternoon. My name is Jacobson Park, People's 93.1 FM. In the aftermath of the 2020 NSAS protest, you set up a panel of inquiry to look into police brutality and all the effects of what happened. The panel has submitted this report with its recommendation. Can you give us a highlight of why non-implementation of that recommendation?
Well, thank you. You rightly mentioned it was End SARS. It was not a protest against the government of Bayelsa State. It was a protest against the police. And the best we did there was to coordinate the grievances of the people about the police. We succeeded in doing that, setting up a panel of inquiry headed by a retired judge of the state, and we have forwarded it to appropriate quarters. That's the best we can do. Thank you.
Your Excellency, good afternoon once again. My name is John Angese from Radio Bayelsa. Your Excellency, no doubt, any well-meaning Bayelsan today attest to the fact that you have done so well in infrastructure like roads, peace and security, education, health, all these sectors you have done so well. You also told us here and told Bayelsans here also the area of sports, which we know you for right from the days when you were Commissioner of Sports. And I want to believe after Your Excellency has served this state, and if opportunity comes for you to take any national position, Minister for Sports, we know that we will do very well, especially now that our Falcons are back home and we are sad. But Your Excellency, sir, we can't say such in the areas of agriculture, food security, public water supply in Yenegua and its environment. We want to know what Bayelsans will expect in the second tenure in this area, especially now that we have signed the electricity law in Bayelsa State. What do we expect to see in the second tenure?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Well, if you say you cannot say the same thing with the other areas you enumerated, you may not be very wrong, and at the same time, you may not be very right. Our government has also done somehow in the areas that you seem not to agree with us, which is agriculture, food security, water, and then somehow you also mentioned power because you came to it. Agriculture, yes. I will also say I'm not very satisfied with my vision of what I wanted to achieve in my first tenure in agriculture. Because if you head to be the hub of fisheries in Nigeria, private sector, backed up by the state government, from this Iwe in Norway, pipeline security. By when the pipelines go, where will all those youths be? So we had those good intentions, but it did not see the daylight the way I wanted it. And we want to continue with it. And like I said, you were here when I was speaking to the youths. We have appointed a thoroughly bred professional who is good both in the academics and in practicals. And I'm believing that he has seen my vision of making Bayelsa a fish shop, and those products that we have comparative advantage. In rice, but part of what they are doing in South Korea, Seoul, is also to explore the areas for rice. And even if I join them, those are the things I'm going for. So, rice, Bayelsa has a comparative advantage. While in some states that are even producing rice today, you can farm for just one season. In Bayelsa, in one season, you can produce rice twice. So, I agree with you to some extent, but not wholly, that we have to do better in agriculture in this second tenure. Last tenure, we even had some loans, which the one who says is my friend, but it doesn't seem to me like a friend. It looks more like an enemy than a friend, Johnny Domange. He tells the public he's my friend, and then he will be spewing out lies about the government and things that didn't happen, or sometimes half-truths, prevarications. So we had loans. I moved for it. The CBN was giving loans to virtually all the states, and our state was left out. And I moved for it, and I succeeded. And at this point, let me give that credit to, well, a lot of times people think that we are always fighting. There are sometimes we also compromise. I want to give that credit to the immediate past governor of River State, Chief Yesom Wike, who is now Minister of Federal Capital Territory. Because in one of our meetings, when I became very agitated that other states are getting the CBN loan and my state has not gotten, and I don't know why it is so. And he said, he said, my brother, let's talk later. And we talked. And thereafter, not quite 2-3 months, we got the CBN loan. And so I like to give that credit to my brother Wike, who at that time, even though there are a lot of things we disagreed, but this one we agreed. So we got the loan, and I told like in my usual way, I don't interfere. I allow the ministry to run it. Get our farmers a loan of 8 billion, which will be paid back though by the state government. And I threatened to say, look, let all those collecting this loan, tell them that they will pay back. So you must write out everybody who is collecting this loan. And I'm sure those documents are in the Ministry of Agriculture. So we gave out 8 billion loan in our first tenure. And I've told and directed the current commissioner to go into those records, to see those who collected the loan. And I'm sure if 8 billion, assuming not even the whole 8 billion, if at the end of the day 6 billion is spent on agriculture in Bayelsa, we will all see the difference. But I have actually not seen that very difference, and I'm also agitated like you on that matter, and I'm directing my new commissioner to go into it and then let them come out with activities of those who collected the agricultural loan. But going forward, we will be more into agriculture and food security. In terms of water, yes, now the former commissioner is now the GM on water. I also believe that number one things to approach is power generation and water. For power, you know our handicaps before now. But now that handicap is no more there. And we have also domesticated our own laws of power generation and power distribution. And there are still other steps to go with the national, and we are on it. And the moment we are through with that, we are also not waiting for it. We have already started talking with private investors. We have the natural resource, gas. So I have personally written a letter to SPDC to give us a quantum of gas with which we are going to relate with the investor. So the state government will have the gas, the state government will provide the land, you come with the equipment. So that we have an independent power plant in Bayelsa State that will generate power, distribute power in Yenagoa and its environs, and slowly into other local government headquarters. That's also part of our plan for this second tenure. And the same thing, ditto, applies for water. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Samuel Ayadwan. I write for Vanguard. Sir, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has warned again of an impending flood. What measures is the state government taking to avert another disaster?
Well, that's one area I tend to disagree with our federal system. Beyond warning of these flood-prone states, what are they doing to have a permanent solution? However, we have seen some efforts by this new Tinubu administration. You recall in 2022, when we were underwater, cut off by the flood from both the delta axis and the rivers axis, and we became our own independent country, living on top of water. And a minister under Buhari's government told the whole world that Bayelsa is not even up to the 10 number of states that were impacted by flood. And nothing came from that government. Nothing. Everything that you saw being distributed was the effort of the Bayelsa state government. And you saw me going from one community to the other, giving hope to our people and assuaging their feelings. So, the same way they have started warning us again, but I think that we should look more for permanent solutions rather than even this issue of palliatives when we have flood. And the permanent solution I have suggested, we have written our own position as a state to the federal government, that our own flood is not basically that of rainfall. It is the water that comes from the other side, from the dams, that causes our government should in this water. The moment that is done, Bayelsa will be flood-free. If they say they want to collaborate with the state government, we are prepared. But building a dam is not what a state government can immediately do for now. And the other bit is that our rivers have become too shallow. So we need dredging of our rivers. And you will agree with me that by the meager resources that we have, considering all other sectors of governance, which we have even counted here that we are doing, where will we have the money again to now buy dredgers, to now dredge our rivers from the beginning to the end. It's not as if we don't know what to do. We know what to do. Our problem is that the resources are not enough. And we will need the federal government beyond warning us that flood is coming. Nobody needs to continue to work until the floods will come. So if you ask what we are doing, we have already started doing something. We inaugurated that committee in February, and they have been working till now. Beyond even what they are doing of clearing, how do you call them, canals and all that, beyond all of that that they are doing, I also want a research. They are going to do a research on major flood control and erosion control in our state. Let's find a solution as a government. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Ayuba Itari yesterday. I write for National Investigator newspaper. Sir, we have so many youths in Bayelsans State roaming the streets unemployed. Government alone cannot provide all the employments that's required for the youth that are graduating from the various institutions across the country from Bayelsans State. Over the year, how soon Bayelsans should expect youth employed so that can be pulled off the streets of Yenegoa. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for that acknowledgement of the efforts that we are doing so far to address the issues of unemployment and industrialization in our state. I didn't know that the little efforts we are doing is known to some of you. We know that government cannot employ the whole of the unemployed people we have, youths we have in Bayelsa. And there is no country, there is no state where government is the one that employs everybody. In fact, if you ask me, even the employment, the bureaucracy we have today, if we were to operate a government of my choice, maybe a lot of them will even go. The bureaucracy we have today. Because I believe in a slim government, but effective and efficient government. But because of the unemployment, and we are forced to we are even thinking of employing more people again. Because some people have even accused me that since you came in, you stopped employment. But I didn't stop employment generally. You are all in this state. There are some professional areas. We have employed doctors, we have employed nurses, and we are at the verge of employing teachers. The process is almost being completed. So those areas that we need, we're already on it. But even generally, what we can do with him in Bayelsa, and it was very positive, very positive. Before these whole issues between him and the federal government started coming on, and I believe that our movements are yielding some fruits, not yet seen. If Dangote and few others that we have met who are Nigerians, who are positively disposed in coming into our state to do one thing or the other, we know that the narratives will change. In the same vein, I was in Bahamas for Afrexim Bank's AGM. And in that AGM, I met a group of private investors. And recently, I led a team to Benin Republic, where that conglomerate, the conglomerate is called Arise, not Arise News. So they are established in Gabon, they are established in Benin Republic. And when you get into that industry, you have no doubt in your mind that something is happening here. Producing cotton, producing all types of clothes. In fact, they are building roads within the free zone area. Now, they have come into Ogun State in Nigeria. They are right now in 3 states in Nigeria. And they have promised us they will come into Bayelsa states. Anywhere we go, we are giving them our advantages. Agro-allied industries are there. The aquatic nature is our own here. And they're excited when they hear. Some of them have said they are coming, including Arise. They want to come into Bayelsa to see most of these things that we are promoting and marketing before them. So if you ask me how soon, my brother, I cannot know how soon. It's like asking me when Jesus Christ will come. How soon Jesus Christ will come. It's not known to anybody. But this one, I believe and I pray and I hope that they come during this our tenure, so that we have 1 or 2 industries established here in Bayelsa that will take the heat off the state government. And I'm sure we are all thinking and reasoning together in the same way. Our duty is actually to go out for it while we need your prayers to succeed. Thank you.
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Samuel Numunengi. I work with the NTA and by the grace of God, the chairman, NUJ Bayelsa State Council. Your Excellency, administration is building new commissioners and legislators' quarters. But we've noticed in the past few years, no government in the state has built low-cost houses. Is there any plans for the common people in terms of housing, particularly the civil servants? Are you also thinking about completing the Anyama Ijo and Otokpoti housing projects?
Okay. Thank you, my brother. Yes, I have seen that criticism severally on the social media, that governments have been building only for the rich, for commissioners, for House of Assembly members, and then the poor has been neglected. But I don't think that's also very true. I remember that the last time we had a massive housing estate was under Governor Goodluck Jonathan, where I served as Commissioner for Sports. And that estate, they call it Okaka Estate, was built at that time. And then the former governor has attempted the ones that you mentioned. For us, this year, this second tenure, we're almost done with the houses for the commissioners and for the House of Assembly. But we also want to go into low-cost housing in this second tenure. And very soon you will see action on that. We had some refund, not refund, so to speak. That was some payments from SPDC because my predecessor took them to court over some surface rights that they didn't pay over the years. And I came and met the situation. We tried to dialogue in consonance with the programs and principle of our government. And initially they were reluctant, so we continued with the court matter. They appealed against what my predecessor gained at the lower court. And we defeated them at the appeal court. And they approached us again for reconciliation. So we reconciled. And we were paid some money. And that money is still in escrow account. And we intend to use that money for low-cost housing estates. So we have plans, my brother. We are not building only for the rich. We want to also build for the poor. But your question is also for the rich, because the next group you mentioned was civil servants. What about those who are not civil servants? So we want to build for even those who are not civil servants. Because whatever we have is for everybody. Yes, civil servants may have the this thing. You know, we have one estate that was built there. It is all the civil servants' estate. There is another one that is land has been acquired and all that for civil servants. So it can not always be for civil servants alone. We also want to build for those who are not civil servants. And that's why you see when this federal government rights came as palliatives, my directive was that no political appointee, no civil servant should benefit from it. Let it go to people who are not earning anything, who are not earning a dime and a kobo. The people for which all of us say we are working for. But at the end of the day, when these things come, it is we that still want to take it. So we have very good plans for housing as a state government in this second tenure. Thank you.
Your Excellency, you've just talked about your plan for those that are really in the grassroots. So it's not just those at the upper echelon that are getting the benefits. So let's look at the grassroots a bit. Now, if we look at our elementary social studies, we have federal government, state government, and local government. But in Nigeria, not just in Bayelsans State, in Nigeria, the local government seem as though they've been merged with the state government. Over the years, not your administration, but over the years in this state, we've had instances where the local government will say they can't pay salaries, and we've heard state government says they've come in to help. Now, autonomy has been granted to the local governments by the Supreme Court. Now, I've heard you say that even though the autonomy has been granted, that you've been doing that before the autonomy has been granted. I've heard you say that. But now let's look at it practically. How would it be? How empowered would our local government chairmen be? And not just being empowered, to ensure that they really drive the dividends of democracy to those in the rural areas. What's your take on it, and what's your strategy?
Well, you have said it. There is a local government autonomy from the Supreme Court. We are not perturbed about that. My own quarrel about local government is that there is injustice in the Federation of Nigeria concerning the creation of local governments and the number of local governments that we have as a state. And I've said this over and over, and I will say it again here today. Granting autonomy to local governments should have been first and foremost a constitutional issue. Because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria recognizes two federating units. And those two federating units are the federal government of Nigeria and the state governments of Nigeria. And the local governments will be legislated upon by the state assemblies. And so there is a whole lot of lacuna in this so-called local government autonomy thing. But that's not my issue. My quarrel is that there is injustice in Nigeria. There is an imbalance, and that imbalance and injustice has to be addressed. We cannot be a state of Bayelsa producing the number of barrels of oil we are producing for the Federal Republic of Nigeria over the years, and we have the list of local governments in Nigeria. 8 local governments as opposed to those who have 40, who have 30. And so, of what benefit will the local government autonomy be to me and the people of Bayelsa State? Full stop.
Your Excellency, once again, I'd like to, find out what you're going to be doing about the inauguration of one of the signature projects you inherited in terms of road
infrastructure.
We're looking at the Sagbama, Ekeremo, road and which you've graciously have been pursuing. When will that road be inaugurated for the use of the people?
The people are using it now. You want to be like, what's his name? These colonialists who came and said they discovered the sea routes to India. What's his name? Mongo Park. Meanwhile, Indians have been bathing on that route. They have been traveling on that route, going to their farms, and then they came for the first time and said they have discovered the sea route to India. My brother, Ikirimo people are using that road. Whether commissioned or not commissioned, we are using that road. I'm also from Ikirimo, and you know that. So we are using the road. However, the way we have inaugurated others, we were expected to also inaugurate that one. And what actually is keeping us from it now is the response from the federal government. I had personally written to the president because that's one road that is very dear to us. And we need to continue that road from Ikirimo to Age. And like I keep saying, our resources cannot do all of this. And so sometimes we bring in the federal government to collaborate with us, which is what we try to do with the Nembe brass axis. I went to this president has listening ears. And when I spoke to him about the Nembe Brass Road and the Ikirimo Age Road, he told me that of Nembe Brass is already approved by the Federal Executive Council before now, and then he will direct his Minister of Works to liaise with me, which he did. The Minister of Works called me, and we spoke, and he sent his team to the Commissioner for Works. And so we are agreed that whilst we do the first phase, which we're already working on, the federal government will take on the second phase, from where we will stop to brass. And I wanted the same approach in the Ikirimo, Sabama Ikirimo Age Road. So sometimes we try to play for this type of politics that will appear to you like a delay, but we have something that we want to achieve. And so for us, the president would have come. If he's not disposed to come in, he would have directed either the vice president or the minister of works. So if any of them come to commission and inaugurate that road, and that day we now tell them of the Ikirimo Age bit of it, then you know somebody seeing is believing. So by the time he comes to see what we have done and then what is left to be done, we are sure that some action would have taken place. And these are some of the things that are delaying the inauguration of that road. Thank you.
Your Excellency, let me first of all thank you for doing much for sports in Nigeria and Bayelsa. The first ever sports festival came under your administration. The virtually Bayelsa, Nigerian wrestlers are camped in Bayelsa State. The National Scrabble Championship, Bayelsa. Everything sports comes to Bayelsa. Don't you think Bayelsa is doing too much in way of spending? And why this love for sports?
I think you should answer that question, that we are doing too much. Is it better to do too much or to do less? Now, if we are spending for our sports, and who are the people in sports? Who? I wanted you to answer. So, you mean the money we spend for the youths is too much?
Your Excellency.
Yes.
There is an adage, because picking head big, let me say you carry big load on top. Bayelsa State lost sport. You lost sport. Maybe because you are commissioner for sports before. But you are taking so much, like as if everybody that wants to do anything sports in Nigeria now, go to Bayelsa.
Are you happy when they announced
I'm happy for that.
Oboro to do as a world silver medalist? Are you happy for that?
More than happy.
Are you happy when there is one little girl called Tima?
Tima, God bless, yes.
You are happy?
Deborah Quick Pen.
Okay.
The list goes on and on.
Okay, so we can count on and on. And you want us to stop spending or spend less in sports?
I never said so. You just said lean resources, too many things to do.
Yeah, but these are areas that are also putting your state in the spotlight. Not only that, these are areas that are bringing up your youths who would have been a problem to you otherwise. Take, for instance, the Governor's Prosperity Cup. Do you know the number of youths that are involved in that competition? And if you say, okay, because these are not visible things that people will see, even though they see one or two, that, okay, Governor, don't do this Prosperity Cup. Do you know that crime will increase in Yenagoa? Do you know that the level of unemployment and disgruntlement against the government will increase? And so for me, it's better to put the money in places like that, in youth development. Sports is one sure way of youth development. And if they do well, they will become millionaires and billionaires of their own. The Prosperity Cup, you have scouts from national and international. And a lot of our boys have even moved out via Prosperity Cup. But at the end of the day, we may be spending about 200 million, 300 million to organize a Prosperity Cup. But the benefits for us as a government and for our youths in Bayelsa are uncountable. So my brother, I don't believe that we are spending too much. In fact, I believe that we have not even spent enough to encourage and build the youths in sporting activities. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I stand with you on this. More money should be spent on sports. If Bayelsa becomes the tourism destination for sports, I'll be very happy for that. Your Excellency, there was a time in Bayelsa State when governments placed a ban on Okada. It was greeted with mixed reactions. For those who saw the need for the ban, were those who either spent their money or were those who visited the hospitals for diverse degree of injury they sustained in Okada rather. Keke came. The government of the day has also placed a ban on Keke from 7 p.m. Bayelsans are also having the same feeling. Some are saying the ban it has taken too long because they found themselves stranded on the way for lack of buses and taxis to convey them to their destinations. Precisely in July 2023, you gave us 100 cabs and 6 luxurious buses to address that issue. But it still seems that these cabs and buses are still not enough. There are also private individuals who have cashed in on this to also make money for themselves. They are happy that Keke is now operating from 7 p.m. Families will survive. Your Excellency, sir, what plans are you making? Are we expecting more to these fleets of cars that will help our people? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. And I'm sure that it's better for our state, particularly those of us who are in Yenagoa, that we stopped Keke operating at night. You all know the difficulties, the robbery incidents, and all that was associated with Keke operating at night. And all of that is now history. Yes, thank you for acknowledging what we have done in terms of the taxis that we introduced, the buses that we have introduced. Again, I believe that government is not a good businessman. So government has no business in business. And so we contracted private operators, private transport operators who are Bayelsans. And they are the ones running these vehicles that were purchased by the state government. We have a new commissioner for transport. The chief of staff was part of the group that did that negotiation with the former commissioner for transport. And up until today, we have not seen what actually is coming into the state government. Because in a business, it's an agreement. We can't continue to be buying vehicles and then some people are making transport and making money and we will not see. But they have just reported to me and briefed me that the people have bought some other vehicles, some Toyota vehicles that are also branded, with our color, with the state government color and all that. I have directed them to see how much the people have made over this period. And then the monies they have spent in buying those ones and what is left. Because, you see, this business has to reproduce itself. It has to, we in Bayelsa, we must learn how to do business. You will agree with me if we give these cabs and buses to our brothers from Imo or anywhere. By now, they would have gotten, if we gave them 100, they would have brought 50. So, I am not quick to buying new ones now. I want to see our people do business well. Thankfully, the vehicles are still operating. And then maintenance and all that is going in. So, I've directed my team to get the real figures of maintenance and everything and what they are running in a day, what they make in a day, and what is due to the state government. Or that they are going to buy more vehicles so that the question of saying at night vehicles are not enough will not be there. So they are running both day and night. And like you rightly mentioned, some private people too have started doing business at night. In the afternoon, they are big boys. In the night, they are... I didn't say, you said it. Thank you.
Once again, Your Excellency, I remain Samuel Ayadwan. Sir, what is your stance on the new minimum wage recently signed into law by Mr. President? How do you plan to address the political changes that may arise from the change to our dear state?
Well, if you ask me, my take has been that rather than increasing salaries every now and then and the value of our money becoming like a tissue paper, it is better to bring back the value of the naira. You will agree with me that the 30,000 minimum wage would have been better if the value is still the same today. Because whatever gains that you will make by way of 70% minimum wage will be wiped away by the hyperinflation in the country. So I'm not one of those fans of wage increase. I'm not one of those fans. I will prefer that our currency is stable. And if our currency is stable, you cannot have this 100% increase. Even when there is going to be increase, it has to be a little increase. But now everybody is put under pressure. I'm sure even the federal government is put under pressure. And you agree with me that some state governments cannot even pay the 70. Even the 30, some have not paid. We have been paying here. Some have not paid. And of course, to the person earning the 70, as of today, a bag of rice alone can take off the whole of the 70,000. So, are you going forward or you are going backward? Well, we have heard it now. I have directed relevant officials to go into it because now that minimum wage is 70, it will be graduated according to grade levels and steps. So I want to see our exposure for this new minimum wage. I've directed the relevant ministries and officials to furnish me with that information so that we will know where we are going to as a state If we pay this 70% minimum wage, assuming our wage exposure was 6 or 8 billion, what will it now come to with this new minimum wage? Will it now be 16 billion? Will it now be 15 billion? Or will it now be 12 billion or 20 billion, as the case may be? Will it allow us now to complete our projects and initiate new projects that we want to do? So we are all, that's why I said there is no need for protest. We need to dialogue now and face reality and the truth. And that is the only way we can move on as a country and as a state. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I remain Ayuba Tari, yesterday of National Investigator. It is truly said that you are an apostle of prosperity, and we ascribe to that. Recently, some young pupils from Bayelsa State did so well in the recent Joint Admission and Matriculation Board examination. And all of that is ascribed to your interests in the development of Bayelsa State and the development, particularly in the educational sector. Your Excellency, sir, in recent times, survey has revealed that most of our schools, particularly the primary schools, lack teachers. And I think that was your drive in conducting, examination for would-be teachers, and we know too well that several of them did well in the examination. Sir, when are we expecting the successful candidates in that process to be issued the appointment letter so that those schools that lack teachers, particularly in the rural communities, will stand tall to tell you more? Thank you, sir.
Well, I think I've even answered that question to a large extent when I was addressing the other youths. That process is a process. You see, most times we hurry and then we don't do the right things that are to be done. You just do an interview, an hodgepodge interview, and then for teaching, people who want to go and teach, they must be professional. They must also have what it takes to go and teach. It's like getting a fake medical doctor. The moment you have a fake medical doctor, you are sure that you are killing the patients. And so, employing those who do not have the character, who do not have the profession, who do not have what it takes to teach, you are killing our society. There is no society that can grow above the level of education of that society. And so, I like Bayelsans to be patient. Even yesterday, I have asked the Honorable Commissioner for Education, who is supervising the process. And he told me how rigorous the process is. We don't want to say that, okay, somebody has graduated maybe in biology education. And so because he has a BSc Ed, BSc or B.Ed biology, so you just recruit him and go and put him in a classroom. We have seen where people who say they read economics and ask them to define economics, they cannot define economics. It has happened to me as a person. And so we are putting them through the grill to properly know those who went to school and understand why they went to school. So it may take some time. I appeal to Bayelsans to be patient. We needed teachers. We did our analysis of needs. And that was why we came up with the employment of teachers. We are going to employ about 1,000 teachers. I think 960 teachers. So which is almost about 1,000. And from what the commissioner has told me, the process may be completed in the next 2 weeks. And so these teachers will come on board. So that we will all go to sleep with our 2 eyes closed and not having half-baked graduates from universities to come and cause more havoc for us in the system. We're all happy when the national exams will come out and you see Bayelsans, doing very well. And that is because the type of teachers you are going to recruit. Thank you.
Your Excellency, sir, I remain Samuel Numunengi. It is more than a year since the Bayelsa State Oil and Environmental Commission was set up by your predecessor, and they presented their findings and made recommendations in a report titled An Environmental Genocide, Counting the Humans and Environmental Cost of Oil in Bayelsa, Nigeria. Will the recommendations be implemented considering what our environment and our state has suffered from oil pollution, sir?
Well, if you recall, I went to UK in the Parliament, in the House of Lords, to formally receive that report. And thereafter, I made it open for the affected IOCs, to come for dialogue. I believe more in dialogue. And we gave room for dialogue. And in that formal day, I made it very clear that we shall seek for redress if the windows of dialogue are closed. We have waited for the IOCs, particularly the leading IOC, Shell International. We have not seen any dialogue from them, the way we did in this other one that was paid. And so the question of whether we are going to implement is totally not there. Because from day one, right there in London, I told the whole world that yes, we are going to dialogue, but we shall implement the recommendations of that report. And so we are, a lot of things will also come up. Within the same period after that, we started our elections, campaigns, and second tenor movements. Thank God all that has come to pass, except the court election that we are in with my opponent. That, again, will come to pass soon. That report will certainly, the recommendations, if Shell do not come to us to agree, we will truly go in for litigation. Thank you.
Your Excellency, it's been a very interesting session. And yes, you were ready for us. Now, Your Excellency, one thing that is clear from this session is that you've shed light on every gray areas Bayelsans may have had, and it definitely would make Bayelsans better for it. Now, one word that has framed our session has been dialogue. You've made it known to everybody that your stance is on dialogue and you would always dialogue with everybody. So with that being said, I'll be assuming that we'll be having more dialogue via this media chat route more frequently, leaning on dialogue. Now, Your Excellency, would like to get your final words to Bayelsans.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe in dialogue. So you can see that my brother who contested in 2019 with me, we are now back as friends and brothers. In the last EXCO meeting I had, he came with the Minister of Petroleum Resources Oil, and we received him here. But that was not the spirit in Bayelsa. The moment you belong to two political parties, you become enemies, particularly against the background that we even contested together in an election that he was said to have won, and the courts upturned it. We would have been enemies for life. Not so. But we are not enemies. We are now friends. We are brothers. As I keep saying to every Bayelsan, first of all, we are Bayelsans, Ijaw people. We are Ijaws. We are Bayelsans. Wherever we go to, this is our land. It's either we make it better or we destroy it. God forbid, nobody wants to destroy Bayelsa State. That's why we are struggling to make Bayelsa State a better place. That others can also come for tourism in Bayelsa State. Others can also come for businesses in Bayelsa State. And so my word will still be that be your brother's keeper. Do not bring down your brother and your sister. Don't pull anybody down. Rather help in building ourselves and by extension building Bayelsa State, and by extension building Nigeria. Let us not pull down Nigeria. Pulling down Nigeria will not be to the interest of anybody. Let us build Nigeria. Let us build Bayelsa State. And in all, there must be justice and equity. Thank you.
Okay, Bayelsa, it's been an interesting media chat. A lot of Bayelsans have been craving to hear from our governor speak to us directly. And today, not only has he spoken to us, he has answered the questions of most Bayelsans. This has been the pressing question in the hearts of Bayelsans. And you've gotten your answers today. Not only that, the governor has also promised us that we would dialogue regularly. So for every question you have, he's on standby to answer. So thank you very much. It's been a very, very interesting media chat. I am Dr. Deborah Timiwood, and I've had the pleasure of heading this panel of the finest of Bayelsa journalists. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to thank you very much. Just before we take the national anthem, we would also like to appreciate, of course, the presence of His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Senator Lawrence Irujakbo. Of course, the chairman of the party, Agwanana, has also been here. The Deputy Chief of Staff, Irodamio Komunibo, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Orientation and Strategy, Ibiawa Koku of BI, has been here. And of course, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Bria Dambo San, members of representatives representing Southern Ijo Federal Constituency, Engineer Rodney Ibikebina Ambawe also joined us in course of the program. And of course, the Chief Press Secretary, Daniel Alabra, the Director General New Media, Samuel Kolawole Oredikbe, PhD, and of course, the various heads of stations. That's talking about Elizabeth Yidod,